In 2016, I really wanted to become a blogger, but it wouldn't be until 2017 where I would get the courage to actually start one. And after around a few months to a year, it completely failed. I had no idea what I was doing, so I went and I got a regular 9-to-5 job. But it wouldn't be until 2022 where I had discovered and learned all the skills to build a successful blog that I would quit my 9-to-5 and go on and build marketermilk.com. But this time I took a completely different approach than the years before, and I ended up growing my blog from 0 to 100,000 visitors per month consistently with SEO, and really only writing like 1 to 4 blog posts per month. And doing so has allowed me to over 3x my income from my 9-to-5 because I've been able to monetize the attention from my blog through affiliate marketing, through courses, and even through selling SEO services to tech companies. And I made a ton of mistakes along the way. What took me 3 years to do, I think I can do in less than a year now. So that's what this video is. I'm going to show you exactly what I would do if I were to start a blog in 2026 and give you the entire blueprint. So I split this video up into 3 different levels that you go through when you're starting a blog. So let's go through all of these step by step. So first is level 1, and this is going to take you about a week to go through. This level is pretty much laying the groundwork and the foundation of everything. So in this level, you want to essentially find your niche if you haven't already. And for niche, how I would go about this is focusing on what your curiosities are. A lot of people say follow your passions, and that's great if you know what those are. But I think passion is born from curiosity. So for example, for myself, I started a marketing blog because I worked in marketing and tech, and I was always just curious about how to grow brands and creating content and advertising and just like business in general. And I was always curious about marketing. I would just read marketing books in my free time. Like you see these books around behind me, like a lot of these are marketing books, like Seth Godin, Audacious is the newer one about AI, even like Confessions of an Advertising Man from David Ogilvy. These are all, a lot of these, not all of them, are marketing books. And I was just passionate, or I was just curious about marketing, and I developed a passion through it. And I realized that I can work in marketing and tech and make money by learning even more. So it's just like an amazing career path for me. But maybe that's the same for you. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's something different. So whatever that is, it's something that you intuitively know, but I know that there's something in the back of your mind already thinking about it. And another thing too is like, if you want to make money from your blog and be successful with it and turn it into a full-time gig, or, we're going to shoot for full-time, but worst case, it becomes part-time side hustle. But for me, I wanted it to be full-time, is to make sure that there's companies in your niche that make at least $1 million a year. So for example, in marketing, there's a bunch of different marketing software platforms that are like billion-dollar companies. There's a lot of education companies that are like 8-figure, 9-figure companies in marketing. So like it was easy. I knew that there was some money in this space. So just think about that for yourself, whether that, you're in sports, you're in spirituality, you're in like fitness, health, whatever, finance, whatever the niche that you're in. See if there's companies in that niche that make at least $1 million a year. It's kind of like an estimate. I go over this in super in depth in my free 4-hour affiliate marketing course on my YouTube channel. You can check that out after this one. But yeah, just figure that out. Next, you want to make sure, are there an adequate amount of sub niches within your niche? So going back to this whole idea of marketing, marketing is a very broad niche, and there are sub niches within it. There's topics around product marketing. There's topics around email marketing, SEO, content marketing, running ads. There's just so many copywriting. There's just so many different things and sub niches. So whatever your niche is, and I'm going to explain in this video why this is important pretty soon, but just make sure that you basically find a niche and then you find a sub niche and you try to narrow it down as much as possible, because that's what we're going to start creating content on. And really, I think if there's one thing you can take away from this video, there's a lot, but the big thing is you're not just building a blog. Like, you need to get out of that mindset of like, I'm just going to become a blogger and monetize it through, make passive income online through like affiliate marketing and running ads. Like, Yes, that's all dandy and it's possible, but you shouldn't come with this make money online first mindset to blogging, or else you're just going to give up, which is why most people give up, because they come at it with the wrong mindset. It's more than a blog. You are building a media company. You want to build something that can be bigger than just you. It's a blog today, but you want to build an email list. Maybe in the future you want to get into YouTube, you want to get into social media. You want to think about this as a 10-year roadmap. Think about things in these decade timelines where it's going to take, I've been doing marketing for over a decade now, and I've started Marketer Milk in the past 8 years ago, and I quit in between and worked 9 to 5, and now I'm back doing it, and it's only become a full-time thing in the past 3 years, but I've stuck with it. So think about things in 10-year horizons, that you're building a media company, and this will make more sense as we get more into this, which again, this brings us into building your owned media home. So in marketing, there's this concept of owned media, earned media, paid media. And owned media is really you owning your audience. So owning the content on your website, owning an email list that you have distribution to that's not, reliant on social media algorithms and things like that. So the whole idea here of our media company is building an owned media company. So we need to first build a home where all of our content can live, and it's essentially our body of work. So the first one obviously is having a website, and you want to have a website that is built for modern SEO, something like it can be built for this age of AI search and LLMs to not only rank in Google and Bing, but also ChatGPT and Gemini and AI mode and Claude, just so many different tools nowadays. But you want to focus on that. And in my opinion, the best platform for SEO is Webflow. Now, people will argue that it's WordPress. Every blogger, everyone you watch on YouTube will tell you it's WordPress, most likely because they're promoting some hosting program that's attached to WordPress that's paying them a lot of money. I know because I've been approached by those same companies. But I honestly, everything that I create on this channel is for the younger version of myself, and just talking you're my friend, because I actually want to help you. I've done the thing, and Webflow is my favorite website builder. The entire Marketer Milk website is built in Webflow. I rank for some crazy competitive keywords. Some of my clients that I work with, some of my favorite ones and the ones that respond the best to the content that I produce for them, are built with Webflow. And I will caveat by saying I was an early employee at Webflow, and I used to lead SEO and content initiatives there. So I may be a bit biased, but I'm also trying to speak from what I've seen objectively in the search results. I've seen a lot of Webflow websites do really well. A lot of huge companies use them. And I guess some insider knowledge that Google, they have an investment firm called Capital G, and they're actually an investor in Webflow. So that should say a lot about, how Google views Webflow websites. It actually likes them. So regardless of if you're using, if you're already using WordPress or you have a different solution, it's fine. But if you're starting from scratch and you have the ability to start with something new, I would go with Webflow. But regardless of whatever website platform you use, the whole idea is having the technical SEO side down. So when we actually start blogging and writing content, it's optimized to be able to be found in search engines and in AI search engines. So really this means having fast web hosting. And again, I like Webflow because all the hosting is all embedded with it. With other platforms like WordPress, you have to have a separate hosting program and you have to have separate plugins for SEO. Webflow, it's all together. So just have fast web hosting. You need to have schema markup on your homepage and all of your blog pages. I'm not going to go too in depth on all this stuff because I do have a free course on my YouTube channel about all of this. But if at any point you're confused on what any of these means, or you want me to go more in depth in a future video, leave a comment below. I won't know where you get stuck, so just leave a comment and I will respond. I respond to every comment on every YouTube video that I get. So schema markup on homepage and blog articles. You want to set canonical tags on every single page on your website. And you also want to have a sitemap that populates all of your blog articles. And this is really important because then what you want to do is set up your analytics. And that's when your sitemap is going to become really handy. The first step is to set up Google Analytics. Again, I have videos on that. Won't go too in depth here. But once you set up Google Analytics, it becomes very easy to set up Google Search Console, which is where you're going to be able to track all of your analytics from your blog articles and what's happening in organic search for your website. It's like, it takes like if you already have Google Analytics set up, it'll be like 2 clicks to set up Google Search Console, which is why I recommend setting up Analytics first before Search Console. And then once you have Google Search Console set up, you want to set up Bing Webmaster Tools, which is Bing's own version of the Search Console. And it's really easy if you already have Google Search Console set up, because you can just import it with like a couple clicks into Bing Webmaster Tools. It's a lot easier than you think it is. Next, you also want to create an email list to build your audience. So once we start blogging, we want to have a way to funnel in that audience so we can create that owned media home where we can have access to an audience that we can nurture and build a community around. This is going to matter a lot when we talk about monetization in which level was it? In level 4. And don't worry, for now, the email list, we don't have to worry about sending emails or anything. It's just set it up for now, and we'll worry about this, like I said, in level 4. And my favorite platform for email marketing and creating an email list and newsletter for content creators and bloggers is Beehive. It's free, I think up to like 2,000 subscribers, which is why it just makes sense to set it up now. But if you do end up wanting to pay for Beehive and use it as your newsletter platform, which I use for the Marketer Milk newsletter, I'm friends with the CEO of the company, and he's gave 30% off for my readers, and I guess now my watchers as I'm getting into YouTube. So link in the description if you want to access that. Now we get on to level 2. Level 2 is going to take about a month. And in level 2, what we want to do is just start writing. And so many pieces of content on the web are going to tell you, like, do keyword research, create this content plan, and write all these articles. And it's very overwhelming. Like, if you're just starting a blog, keyword research is confusing. Thinking about all the different blog post ideas you want to write is just, you're going to be prepping and never actually doing anything. And so the idea is just find one blog post to write, and it has to be about something you're really excited to write about. So find a topic you want to write about and be excited about it. For me, like I said, I love marketing, everything's marketing for me. And one of the first blog posts on Marketer Milk was around marketing books, because I was reading a lot of marketing books. I wanted to write an article around some of my favorite marketing books that I had been reading. So one thing I did was, when you write an article, you want to make sure that people are actually searching something related to it. So in this case, you want to go into Google in an incognito window so it's not populating your previous search history results. And you want to just start typing in stuff related to that topic you want to write about. For me, it was marketing books. And so I started typing in best marketing space, and then I saw marketing books was an idea here. And that was good enough for me to know that people were actually searching for this keyword. Whenever Google shows something in autocomplete, it means people are actually searching it. So this is why it's good to kind of use this as your keyword ideation tool, and it's completely free. So best marketing books was the route that I wanted to go to. Next, you want to create a content outline. And I have a blog post on this. If you Google search content outline, it should come up right away. But basically, a content outline is creating a map of everything you're going to write in your article. So it's all the research process and the planning. So when you actually go down to write the article, you don't get writer's block, you don't get stuck, and you can write it pretty quickly. And the main thing with a content outline is, first, you want to make sure that you're matching the right search intent. So if you go to Google and we search best marketing books, we can see that the search intent, as in what people want when they're searching best marketing books, is a listicle style blog post showcasing the top best marketing books. Now, whether you're writing a how-to article or a review post or whatever the keyword is, search it in Google and see what the top results are. And you basically want to mimic that angle or that same format that they're writing their blog posts in. It could be, like I said, a how-to guide. It can be a listicle piece. The idea is you want to match the intent to what somebody is searching, to what they want. And the people that can do that the best end up winning in Google search. Next, once you know the intent, which I would basically say is the angle at which you should approach the article, you can craft your title. And you want to craft your title with a main keyword in there. And I would say that your title also should be around 58 characters or less, or else it'll get cut in the search results. So in this case, for the best marketing books, I can have a title like the 20 best marketing books I'm reading in 2026 or something like that. Next, you want to craft your H2 headings and your H3 subheadings. When you go and look at a blog post, that's what these headings basically are. Your H2 is like your main headings within a blog post, and then your H3s are subheadings of that main heading. And for this, I like to use people also ask section in Google. So when you search your keyword, you can see what questions people are asking, and you can have this inside of your blog post as H2s. You can also use a tool called alsoask.com and type in your main keyword, and it'll give you like this mind map of all the different questions that you should be including in your blog posts. Then once you have your outline, you can also use a tool, this is optional, but it's more advanced, called ClearScope to maximize your ranking potential. So in ClearScope, you can basically input your keyword, generate a report, and you can see how all the competitors within that keyword, how they stand in the search results. You can see things from their content score to how much word count they have. And this content score is basically how much in-depth this article is. So what ClearScope does is it scans all the top results in Google, and it'll give you a list of keywords that all those results have in common that you should also include in your blog post as well. You don't want to force it, but if you want to use this step, which I think is optional, I would recommend, trying to get at least like an A- for every article that you write, which brings us nicely into writing the actual article. So here's some tips for writing articles. The main thing is you really want to, obviously have the right outline in place, but you want to nail your hook and your intro. And there's a few different ways you can approach this. There's no one right way to do it, but one really popular one that most people will tell you about is the PASS copywriting framework, which is problem, agitate, solution. You can essentially use ChatGPT, tell it the type of topic you want to talk about, and then say, give me some examples of an intro using the PASS copywriting framework. I would not recommend ever using AI to publish anything. You can use it for ideas, but just be very careful with it. I personally don't use it for ideas or for writing at all. But PASS is one of the ones you can use. Now, I personally like to use the second two, which I have no idea what the framework name for it is. It's just kind of like how I've done it, just intuitively. First one is establishing EEAT, which is Google's kind of guidelines. It stands for experience, expertise, authority, trustworthiness. And I just kind of like to think of those four things: experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness, and try to nail like at least two of those things within the first 1 to 2 sentences of my articles. So for example, I have this article around the 24 best SEO tools, and one of the first things I said was, I've been doing SEO for a decade. Most notably, I led SEO at Webflow, a $4.2 billion company, and then I built my blog to 100,000 visitors per month from SEO all by myself. Now, what that has done is it's established this kind of, I have experience, I have expertise, and there's some level of authority working at this $4.2 billion company. And so that basically is what I try to do in my first couple sentences. And then also in the intro, you want to confirm that the reader is in the right place. So in that same article, I've also said that it's safe to say that I've tested and used all the best SEO tools on the market, and I'm constantly looking for the newest tools that can give me and my clients a competitive edge. And in this post, I'm breaking down the 24 best tools across all these categories, blah, 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 blah. So I'm confirming the title that yes, I have tested all of these tools, and you're about to learn which ones are my favorite ones. And as you probably noticed too, the target keyword for this article was best SEO tools. And what you want to do is in your intro, you also want to have your keyword, as you can see, it's here, somewhere within the first, few sentences of your introduction. Now, that's one of my favorite ways to approach introductions. I haven't really seen anybody talk about it, but another one too that I really like, which actually comes from a YouTuber named Callaway, who talks about growing on YouTube, but I think this can apply to writing blog posts as well, is he has this kind of idea of how you should write a hook and an intro. And what it kind of entails, I just took these ideas from his video, is that you should first talk about the what, then the desired outcome, the social proof of that outcome, your problem, the solution, about me, your future self. So I know that's kind of like really confusing, but let me break it down. So in this case, basically you're going to first state what you are about to talk about in this blog post, and then you want to basically state something around the desired outcome. So this could be like, if you want to get X outcome, you need to focus on doing Y. And then you want to kind of have some quick social proof. Like in this case, it could be something like, following this has, allowed me to do X, Y, and Z. That's kind of the social proof of you doing that thing. And then basically restate the problem that the reader has. So if you aren't getting X outcome, it could be because of Z, for example. And if you solve for Z, then you will get X, your desired outcome. And basically X is you explaining what this article you're going to go into and what you're going to talk about, which is the solution to that problem. And then you're going to, again, go over some social proof to establish the expertise of how that solution has been solved, either for you or for other people, or where you've seen it solved, and kind of what success really looks like. So basically showcasing the future self somebody is going to go through when they actually go and read this entire blog post. And then you get into your body copy where it's like, the steps 1, 2, 3, whatever. But as you can see, that's like a more advanced version of the problem, agitate, solution framework. It's in there, but it's a more advanced, deeper version of it, which then brings us nicely into nailing your body copy. And here you want to write like you talk. And again, because we have our content outline and everything is split up into H2s and H3s of what we need to talk about, here we can simply just start typing exactly how we talk under each heading. And regardless of if you're writing a listicle article or you're writing a how-to article, you always want to list out the steps or the examples in H3 subheadings. Again, if you look at my blog posts on my content outlines, how to write those, or you literally watch another video on this YouTube channel, which I'll have showing above on how to write a blog post, I do this all live. And the blog post I wrote in that video is actually ranking on the first page of Google today. Now, there are some ways to speed up the writing process as well. I will have a separate video on using AI, but I would never, ever, ever use AI to generate content that I publish on my website. I would never even generate AI content and edit it as a human. No. If you're going to use AI for content, use it as a proofreader. Don't use it to bring ideas that you write about and publish. That should come from you internally. You're the human. You're smarter than the AI of what the topic is that you're writing about. You can use AI as like a proofreader or a copy editor if you want. And so one thing I've experimented a lot with is using text to speech. So in a Google Doc on a Mac, you can do Command Shift S. It might be Control Shift S on Windows, but this little mic pops up and you can just speak out your blog content, and then under each heading, and then you can take that, because it's going to be terrible grammar and terrible structure, you can then give it to ChatGPT or Claude and say something like, hey, can you proofread this for me for any grammar mistakes? Do not change the voice and tone. Do not add or remove too many new words. Keep it pretty much my exact voice and tone. Only edit it for grammar and proofreading, pretty much. And you want to reread it to make sure it didn't like add in a bunch of random stuff like M dashes and all that kind of stuff. You just want to proofread what you spoke out. Next, after you publish your first blog post, you want to first pat yourself on the back, go buy some ice cream, celebrate. If you're lactose intolerant, celebrate in some other way. And then you want to write 4 more blog posts, and you want to try to stay on the same topic. For example, we talked about newsletters in this video. I wrote a blog post around my favorite newsletter platforms, so it was like the 10 best newsletter platforms. I then ended up creating other pieces of content around that same topic. So here are some other formats of blog posts that you can create, or really these are kind of the 5 main formats. And this is stuff straight out of my SEO courses where I talk about the 5 main blog posts to write. And the first one being how-to guides. So for the example of newsletter platforms, this could be how to start a newsletter in 2026. And then there's these best listicle articles, which is like 10 best newsletter platforms in 2026. Then there's review articles where you can review a product or a service. So in this case, Beehive, the newsletter platform, you could do like Beehive Review 2026, and then some click-worthy title of like my experience after 2 years. Remember, these are all under 52 characters long. And then alternative listicles, which are like reviewing the 10 best MailChimp alternatives in 2026, and you can mention other email marketing platforms. And then there's versus articles, which is you can do something like Substack, which is another newsletter platform, versus Beehive, which is better in 2026. And a lot of these like best review, alternative, versus posts, these are like the money posts is what I call them. So regardless of your niche, this is just email marketing software. You can think of this in terms of anything, from gym equipment to software to camera equipment to whatever product or even maybe services there are. You can create articles like this where then they can be affiliate driven articles. For example, the Substack versus Beehive, this is where you compare two different tools. And I actually have a video on this YouTube channel, I'll link it above, where I wrote an article like this and I ranked it on the first page in less than a day. And that article is ranking number 1 right now. If you go and look it up, there's a video somewhere there. I also have videos in the description as well. But those are kind of the 5 formats you want to create. So really at the end of the month, ideally you want to have 5 blog posts. This could be a blog post a week, and then one of those weeks you wrote 2. And then you're done with level 2. Then we enter into level 3, and the duration of this is going to vary. I would say it's maybe around a week to a month, depending on how fast you execute. But level 3 is all about building authority and looking at your analytics of what's working. So first, we want to look at our analytics. After about a month publishing our content, so like a month from the date of the first blog post we ever published, you want to go into Google Search Console and you want to see if you're getting impressions and clicks. And at this point, you can also experiment with SEO tools like Ahrefs or SEMrush to track your rankings and just see how things are performing in general. But you still don't really fully need to pay for anything. You just want to see if you're getting impressions and clicks, and you want to make note of where these early signs of success are coming from, i.e. what pages are getting traction. And this is going to help us create our promotion plan to build authority, which brings us nicely into building your authority through backlinks. So backlinks signal to search engines that you're a publisher worth listening to. And backlinks are essentially getting links, or even now with AI search, mentions on other publications on other websites, linking back to your website or your brand. This is why I mentioned that you want to build a media brand, a media company, not just be a little blogger. You want to seem like a real company and real brand where people can talk about you, and actually see that you're legit and you're worth linking out to. And really, you want to find relevant backlinks in your niche. If you're creating a blog around how to do yoga for mental health, then you probably want to focus on collaborating and getting backlinks from websites that talk about mental health or yoga or spirituality. If you go and try to get backlinks from a website that is like a plumbing company, it makes absolutely no sense. It could actually hurt your SEO. So relevant backlinks in your niche, because these then act as social proof to Google and even ChatGPT that you are an authority in this space. And through building backlinks, you want to have a collaborator's mindset. So basically what you want to do is you want to start thinking of ways that, we'll get into this in level 4, but also monetizing, like future monetization plan of your blog. So I can give you an example for myself. When I started Marketer Milk, I was working at a company and I was running the blog there. And one thing that I did was I had the opportunity to write on that company's blog. And being able to write on the company blog, I had a author bio, and the author bio mentioned that I was the founder of Marketer Milk, and it linked out to marketermilk.com. So that was one way to start building authority for my brand. So if you work at a company, if you have the privilege of that and you're able to write on the blog, start writing on the blog. Obviously don't hard pitch anything, but you can have in like your author bio that you're the founder of this blog or this media company. And what you also want to do is, for example, if you write listicles or how-tos or any article that you mention other companies and you mention other products and services, you can actually go and ask those companies that you've mentioned in your posts to help promote the content that you wrote, because this then creates a win-win situation. They get social proof of some other blogger or content creator talking about their products and services, while you also get pushed through their brand and maybe even a backlink to that article, so it ranks higher. The higher it ranks, the more that company gets attention, the more you get attention, and vice versa. It creates a win-win situation. So you can reach out to companies that you're talking about to kind of help promote your content or give you a backlink to certain blog posts. That's like a sneaky strategy that not too many people talk about. And also what you can do, one of the first things I did was actually reach out to companies to help them with their SEO. When I quit my 9-to-5 to start my blog, obviously my blog didn't make any money. It took like a year to start getting a consistent amount of affiliate commissions. But one way that I did start making money right away was actually blogging for other tech companies and software companies that were already established, but they just didn't understand what type of content to write and how to rank it in Google. So I would reach out to companies and offer to write them a blog post around a specific keyword that was valuable to their products and services, and told them that I'm just trying to build up my portfolio. I can help you rank pretty strongly for this keyword. I would love to write an article for free. And I would write that article. I would occasionally link out to any of my pieces that made sense in that article where I thought there was actual value. You're not trying to game the algorithm or do these like hacks. You only do this if you're actually creating helpful content that you believe other people can get value from. And I would write on these publications, and then a few months later, that article would rank. And actually my first big client that I had that I signed for $6,500 per month, they reached out back to me and they said, hey, this blog post that you wrote for us a few months ago is doing really well. It's brought us a bunch of leads. Can you do more of this? And then that's when I pitched my services to them, like, yes, I can do, X amount of blog posts per month. It's going to cost you $6,500 a month. You want to work with me? And they said, yes, you've already proved the value. So not only did I sign a client that way, but I also built authority and backlinks to my own blog. So it's like this genius strategy. And basically you doing this constantly, linking out to other people, and anytime you link out to a company, you can email them and say, hey, I linked out to you in this article. If you want to share it, go ahead, and you can just ask for nothing in return. These plant little seeds around the internet where I've seen this for myself, where I've mentioned a lot of companies and blogs, and I've actually never even reached out to them. But somehow, if there's an SEO person on that team or a content person on the team of that company, and they're looking at their backlinks, they might see that I sent them a backlink. And the next time around when they're writing a piece of content, they might just mention me in one of their articles, just in good faith. And it's obviously, this can't be planned, or you can't really track this well, but you can track the backlinks, but you can't really plan for something like this to happen. But I've seen it happen for me time and time again, where people start mentioning my blog because I've mentioned them, but we've actually never even spoken to each other. So plant those seeds. And you also, everything I've said now is a little bit out of your control if people respond to you and want to collaborate with you. So there are ways that you can take this into control yourself, which is actually posting on your LinkedIn or your X or Twitter, Pinterest, and even this new platform that I've been really loving called Cosmos, which is like a Pinterest alternative. But you can post your blog content and stuff on those platforms. Of course, you don't just want to post your link to your blog post with nothing. You want to, for example, on LinkedIn, summarize what you wrote and say a link to the blog articles in the comments. And while this isn't a direct backlink, because a lot of these platforms block the SEO link juice getting passed from their social media platforms, it does help with getting traffic signals from other social media platforms. Same with starting a newsletter and occasionally mentioning your new articles. This actually helps with external traffic signals, and Google loves websites that don't just get traffic from Google SEO. It likes to promote websites that have a diverse portfolio of traffic and channels, because this shows Google that you're like a brand with like a holistic brand approach, and people like you on YouTube, people like you on social media, people like you from other people mentioning you, there's referral traffic, and through all of that, Google wants to reward your website more because it wants Google users to find good search results. So if it finds that your site is getting traffic from multiple different sources, it can make the assumption that your site has something of value. And so it's going to actually help push it so you get more traffic from SEO. Okay, so now we get into level 4, which is pretty much infinity and beyond. Realistically, this can take around 12 to 36 months, but to see your fruits kind of come to life from all this. But level 4 is just the long-term game, and it's just the ongoing stuff that you do. So this can be continuing to build topical authority. I mentioned earlier in this video that search intent was one of the best ranking factors and one of the top ranking factors. I would say the second one is having topical authority. So topical authority is essentially becoming an expert in a specific sub-niche or topic because you've mentioned it and talked about it so much on your website. If you search in Google topical authority marketer milk, I have a blog post on exactly how you should think about this. But really, the gist of it is that what we talked about on level 2 and level 3, you just need to keep doing those over the span of a year, 2 years, 3 years. Just continue to do those things, continue to post blog posts, continue to collaborate. The backlink stuff doesn't matter as much as it does in the beginning. Once you start getting the ball rolling and you start getting traffic and you're building topical authority, it doesn't matter as much, but you want to try to repeat level 2 and 3 as much as possible and aim for like at least a blog post a week. 2 to 3 is better. This is what I do for my clients. I personally, for myself, have been lazy with Marketer Milk, where there's some months where I publish 1 blog post. There's some months where I publish nothing. And then there's some months where I go crazy and I publish like 2 a week. The idea is you want to just be consistent with it. You don't want to like go dark for many months or many years at a time. You want to try to have a publishing cadence, especially if you're serious about growing. And here is you want to focus on quality over quantity. So unlike social media where, you know, posting reels or TikTok videos or YouTube shorts, there's a huge quantity game of, you know, you want to just keep posting stuff and something's going to catch in the algorithm. With Google, SEO is quality over quantity. It's much better to post 4 banger articles in a month than posting 30 okay articles in a month, at least my opinion. So you want to focus on that quality aspect. And really what you want to also do is, because we're building a full media brand, eventually you want to try to turn some of your top blog posts into YouTube videos and embed your YouTube videos in those blog posts. This is how I've been able to rank for some really competitive keywords. Like I ranked number 1 for AI marketing, which is an insanely competitive keyword. And that article has gotten like 400,000 reads. And I made a YouTube video about it, about that same topic. And I embedded it in the blog post, which has made me stand out from all the other pages on the web talking about that concept. So that's something that you should kind of have in the back of your mind. The sooner you can do this, the better, but it's not needed. Not every, like I grew my blog before I did really YouTube stuff. So it's possible, but if you want to stand out in a competitive niche, then having YouTube videos is, you know, the best way to do that. And really you want to eventually become known for something in Google's eyes and regular humans that love your brand. So this will then help your content rank higher without backlinks and rank faster. I've written articles about reviewing stuff and reviewing products that have ranked number 1 in 3 hours. Some of the most competitive keywords that I go after that used to take a year to rank for, rank in like 2 months. And this is all because I have built topical authority in those topics that I'm talking about. And I don't even think about backlinks anymore. I just try to write the best piece of content I possibly can. And without backlinks or anything, because I have topical authority, they rank really high and they rank a lot faster than, you know, what they used to. So it creates this like flywheel effect over time. SEO and blogging gets easier the more you do it. Same with any concept, like same with YouTube and all that stuff. Creating content, it gets easier the more you do it. And really a good sign that you're doing something right is if you see your brand search volume go up, whether it's your personal brand with a name or you've created like a brand name like I did. If you see people actually searching it in Google, especially if it's Google auto-completing, then it means that people are searching the brand name directly, and that means you're doing something right and you're on the right path. For example, that brand search volume, I only work with companies that actually have some level of branded search volume because people are talking about their products and services on social media or because they run ads and stuff. So when you do have branded search volume, it actually makes SEO a lot easier because there's already a level of trust you have with Google. So I usually only work with companies that have branded search volume, but that is like the first sign that you're doing something right. And then obviously you're building all this attention, and lastly, you want to monetize it. And funny enough, I put monetization as the last thing to be talked about. A lot of people will say how to make money blogging and all this stuff, but honestly, I have barely seen any YouTubers that talk about make money with blogging actually make a substantial amount of money with blogging that aren't just teaching people how to start a blog. And I have been able to monetize through multiple different ways with my blog, but I've never started with monetization at the beginning. I've always thought about what topic do I know the most about, that I'm the most excited about, and how can I actually help people without anything in return. And having that mindset has always brought money and opportunities to me in really interesting ways. So let's talk about ways to monetize. Here are a few that I have done and that I know work. The first one is affiliate programs. So like, for example, I mentioned Beehive in my newsletter platforms article. Through that process, I actually became Beehive's #1 partner, sending them the most clicks and signups out of any other partner. And I actually won their affiliate partnerships awards for doing that. And over time, I've been able to negotiate my rates with them. So at one point I got I think 50% or 40% commissions, and now I get 60% commissions for people that sign up and pay through that link. So as you grow through affiliate marketing, you can actually negotiate your rates with the person at that company that's managing the affiliate program. So affiliate programs, great way. They still work even in the age of AI search. Next is selling B2B services, so business-to-business services, and this is basically helping other businesses grow through SEO blogging the same way you are. I've done this for mostly SaaS companies, so software as a service companies. It's been my way to develop my own authority for Marketer Milk. It's also been a way to grow other blogs for tech companies and help bring the value to them and make money through those services. So it's like a win-win situation where I'm consulting and building blogs for other people, but also through that process, not only am I getting paid for it, but it's also helping me build my own brand as well. And this is great if you're working with companies in a similar niche as you or adjacent to it. Next is selling B2C services, so business to consumer. This can be whatever niche you're in, like coaching or mentoring. So if you have a blog around mental health or yoga, like I mentioned earlier, you can, sell programs that have like coaching programs or mentorship programs. It's pretty much like if you were to create on YouTube, you can do it through your blog posts. And then if you have your newsletter set up, then you can actually, and you're bringing in subscribers from SEO to your newsletter the way that I do, then you can actually build that community and sell your products and services inside your newsletter as well. Next is, again, creating and selling products. So whether it's digital or physical, you can sell courses, you can sell memberships, you can sell also like ebooks, you can sell templates. That's on the digital side. You can sell physical products depending on what your company is. I don't know, I'm trying to think of something, whether you're like selling desks or lamps or whatever, you can sell physical products and notebooks, journals, all that kind of stuff. And then you can also do sponsorships, ads, or rank and rent, which I personally don't do this, but I know a lot of people that do. And rank and rent and ads and sponsorships, what I don't mean is like having display ads on your blog. I think that age is kind of slowly dying of monetizing with AdSense or any sort of ad network through blogging. I think the way now is locking in like long-term sponsorships. And one way that I've seen a lot of businesses do this, I don't want to mention any because I don't want to call them out, but they'll write an article like the 10 best productivity tools, or the 10 best CRM tools, and like the top 1 or 2 links, those companies are paying them like a monthly retainer to stay in that #1 spot. I don't do it because I think it just makes it biased. And Marketer Milk, I try to do everything to be as least biased as possible based off of somebody giving me money, like a monetary gain. I don't want to do that, but I know a lot of businesses do it. A lot of media companies that make millions and millions of dollars a year do this where they basically rank for a specific keyword and then they rent out the spots in their articles to other businesses. And the way that they're able to justify this is like when you rank for, say, best CRM platforms, it might cost a company like $10 per click through Google Ads to rank for that. And if you're ranking really strongly for that, you can say, hey, I'll mention you in this blog post. Instead of $10 per click, I'll give you like $2 per click through my blog article. And we get estimated this many clicks for this article. So it would be for this position in this article. So, we're going to charge you like $500, $1,000 per month to keep you in the number 1 spot. If you want to be in the number 2 spot, we'll charge you, $200, $300 per month, just a retainer to stay there. And obviously that only works if you maintain those rankings. But that's just one way that a lot of media companies, not myself, but a lot of big media companies monetize through SEO. And then again, if you're building a media company, especially if you're not using your own name, all of this is value creation. Like, this is a huge asset you're building, and you can sell this media company if you want. I know this because I've been approached multiple times for companies to acquire Marketer Milk. I've turned on all of them. I know this because there's media companies that have been acquired. For example, The Hustle, which was a newsletter in the business space, was acquired by HubSpot for, I believe, like high 20 millions. There's tons of media companies that have been acquired by either other big media companies like The Morning Brew getting acquired by Business Insider, or like The Hustle getting acquired by software companies. So there's just tons of ways where your media company can get acquired, even by like private equity firms. But obviously that's not the end goal. The goal is to just create a media company that you're proud of, that can help you build a lifestyle that sustains you financially, that you have fun building. And hopefully that is, everything you've learned in this video kind of gave you some ideas on how to start a blog in 2026 and how to think about it more like a media company. Again, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I will answer them. And if it's too advanced, then I'll make a YouTube video about it. But you got to leave a comment below. And if you like this video, please like it and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.